Chosen ones, stop scrolling, stop multitasking, stop letting your attention drift for even a second, because this moment is not casual and it is not repeatable. You did not enter this new year by accident, and deep down you already know that. Something inside you shifted before the clock even finished counting down. While others celebrated, distracted and unaware, something unseen moved into position around you. That subtle heaviness you felt when the year changed was not exhaustion. It was alignment. Heaven did not simply welcome a new calendar for you. Heaven repositioned you. This new year did not arrive gently. It arrived with pressure. Pressure on your thoughts, pressure on your emotions, pressure on your sense of identity. That pressure is not meant to crush you. It is meant to reveal you. When heaven prepares to use someone, it tightens their environment. Comfort becomes unfamiliar. Old habits feel wrong. Old cycles feel suffocating. You begin to feel out of place in rooms you once fit into perfectly. This is not confusion. This is separation beginning to take effect. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are early. And being early always feels uncomfortable because nothing around you looks ready yet. That is why heaven is watching you closely right now. Not because you are in danger, but because you are standing at a junction where small decisions carry massive consequences. This is not the year of drifting. This is the year of precision. Pay attention to what has already changed in you. You don't tolerate the same nonsense. You don't laugh at the same things. You don't find comfort in the same distractions. Your patience for surface-level conversations has thinned. Your appetite for noise has dropped. Silence feels louder. Solitude feels heavier but cleaner. This is not isolation. This is recalibration. Heaven is stripping away excess so that what remains can carry weight. You didn't enter this year by accident because accidents don't come with awareness. Accidents don't awaken discernment. Accidents don't sharpen intuition. Yet here you are, noticing everything, feeling everything, sensing when something is off before it fully reveals itself. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is evidence that your spiritual senses have been activated, and once activated, they cannot be shut off without cost. This is why rest has felt strange. You sleep, but you don't feel finished. You pause, but you don't feel settled. Your spirit is ahead of your environment, and that gap creates tension. That tension is intentional. Heaven uses tension to pull you forward when comfort would keep you stagnant. If you were truly meant to stay where you were, this year would have felt smooth. It didn't, because smoothness would have kept you small. Some of you have already felt loss this year, even if nothing dramatic has happened yet. Loss of motivation for things you once chased. Loss of desire for validation you once needed. Loss of emotional attachment to people who used to have access to you. This loss is not punishment, it is clearance. Heaven cannot build on clutter. Before elevation, there is removal. Before expansion, there is compression. And now, hear this carefully, because this explains the resistance you're feeling. The moment this year began, something took notice of you. Not people, not circumstances. Opposition. Opposition does not wake up for no reason. Opposition does not intensify unless movement has already started. The pressure you've felt since the new year is confirmation that momentum is already in motion. You are not preparing to move. You have already begun. That is why distractions increased. That is why emotional waves hit harder. That is why doubt tried to sound logical. Doubt always pretends to be wisdom when it senses authority forming. But authority does not announce itself. It settles quietly and then reshapes everything around it. You didn't enter this year by accident because heaven does not waste timing. The exact season you're in right now required the version of you that survived last year. The endurance you built, the losses you absorbed, the silence you endured, the patience you learned, all of it carried you here on purpose. If any of it had broken you, you would not be standing in this year with awareness intact. The fact that you are here, alert, sensing, questioning, adjusting, means you passed something you didn't even realize was a test. This year is not asking who you want to be. It is asking whether you will obey who you are becoming. That is a harder question. Obedience requires restraint. It requires silence. It requires discipline when no one is watching. Heaven is watching how you respond to that requirement. You may feel the urge to explain yourself, to announce changes, to justify distance, to clarify boundaries. Resist that urge. Explanation drains authority before it has time to mature. What is real will reveal itself without narration. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is containment, and containment is essential right now. Notice how certain doors feel closed without drama. Notice how some people stopped calling without conflict. Notice how opportunities that once seemed obvious now feel unavailable. This is not rejection. This is rerouting. Heaven is collapsing pathways that no longer serve where you are going. What feels like loss now would have become a limitation later. This year demands that you stop confusing familiarity with alignment. Just because something is familiar does not mean it is assigned. Familiarity can keep you comfortable while quietly draining your future. Heaven is asking you to choose alignment even when it feels lonely. Loneliness at this stage is not abandonment. It is proof that separation is working. You didn't enter this year by accident because accidents don't require discipline. Accidents don't demand awareness. Accidents don't strip excuses away. Yet here you are, feeling the weight of responsibility rising without being told why. That is because authority is being formed internally before it is expressed externally. This is the year where your reactions matter more than your intentions. This is the year where your discipline matters more than your talent. This is the year where what you refuse will shape you more than what you pursue. Heaven is watching whether you understand that. Do not rush. Do not retreat. Do not numb this pressure. Let it shape you. Let it teach you restraint. Let it sharpen your focus. What is forming in you right now cannot be rushed without damage and cannot be delayed without loss. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay alert. Chosen ones, now you must understand something that most people will never be told clearly. This year did not begin with a blessing for you. It began with a responsibility. That is why it feels heavier. Blessings given without responsibility inflate pride. Responsibility given before blessing builds authority. Heaven does things in this order for those it intends to trust. You are not being teased, you are being trained. Since the year changed, you may have felt an unexplainable seriousness settle over you. Not sadness, not fear, seriousness. A sense that playtime is over, even if you don't know what the assignment is yet. That seriousness is not pressure from the world, it is gravity from above. Heaven has shifted your position, and gravity increases as altitude changes. The higher you are lifted, the more weight you must be able to carry without losing balance. This is why your old coping mechanisms stopped working. Distraction no longer distracts. Entertainment no longer entertains. Noise no longer numbs. What once helped you escape now irritates you. Heaven removed your ability to comfortably avoid what matters. That removal is mercy. If you could still escape easily, you would delay obedience indefinitely. You didn't enter this year by accident because accidents don't come with discernment. Yet your discernment has sharpened suddenly. You feel things before they happen. You sense when something is misaligned, even when it looks fine on the surface. You notice shifts in tone, intention, and energy that others miss completely. This is not imagination. This is perception being upgraded because the environments ahead of you will require it. Pay attention to how quickly discomfort appears now. It does not linger quietly. It interrupts, it presses, it demands correction. That is because tolerance has been reduced. Heaven does not allow prolonged misalignment once authority begins forming. The longer you stay where you don't belong, the more it will cost you internally. This is why you feel restless, even when nothing is wrong. Restlessness is not dissatisfaction. It is readiness without instruction. Your spirit is prepared, but the next step has not yet been revealed fully. That gap creates tension. Many people panic here and try to fill the gap themselves. They make moves out of impatience. They force clarity. They rush decisions. That is how alignment fractures. Heaven is watching whether you can wait without drifting. Waiting without drifting is one of the rarest disciplines. It requires trust without passivity. It requires stillness without stagnation. It requires obedience without explanation. Most people fail here because they mistake waiting for inactivity. But waiting, when instructed, is active alignment. You may also notice that your emotions feel exposed, not unstable, exposed. Old wounds surface unexpectedly. Old memories revisit without warning. Old fears attempt to reintroduce themselves. This is not regression, this is clearance. Heaven is bringing unresolved material to the surface because it cannot be carried into what's next. Anything unresolved will be exploited later. Better to confront it now while authority is still forming. Do not be alarmed by what rises. Acknowledge it without feeding it. Awareness without reaction dissolves power. Reaction reinforces it. You are being trained to observe without absorbing. There is another reason this year feels intense. Neutrality has ended. You can no longer exist in the middle. You will feel pulled toward alignment or pushed by resistance. There is no comfortable in-between anymore. The middle ground has collapsed. This is why indecision feels heavier than wrong decisions used to feel. Indecision now drains more energy than movement. Heaven is watching how long you linger in indecision. Not to judge you, but to measure readiness. Authority requires decisiveness, not impulsiveness. Decisiveness. Decisiveness grounded in alignment. You may also notice that certain people feel louder now, even when they say less. Their presence drains you. Their words feel intrusive. Their energy feels disruptive. This is not arrogance. This is incompatibility becoming obvious. When your frequency shifts, mismatches become uncomfortable. Heaven is not asking you to confront everyone. It is asking you to choose proximity wisely. Proximity matters more than intention this year. Who you allow near you will influence your clarity. Who you listen to will shape your perception. Who you tolerate will affect your timing. This is why your spirit is becoming selective. Selection is not rejection. It is stewardship. Do not ignore the urge to simplify. Simplicity is not loss. It is refinement. Complexity dilutes focus. Heaven is reducing variables, so execution becomes clean. Clean execution produces undeniable results. You didn't enter this year by accident because this year requires courage of a different kind. Not the courage to fight, but the courage to refrain. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to let silence speak. The courage to trust what you sense, even when it costs you comfort. There will be moments when you question whether this intensity is necessary. It is. What is coming next carries weight. Weight requires structure. Structure requires discipline. Discipline requires pressure. This sequence cannot be skipped. You are not being rushed, but you are being prepared for acceleration. Acceleration without preparation destroys. Heaven is ensuring that when momentum increases, you don't lose control. Stay aware of how your inner dialogue is changing. You are less reactive, less dramatic, more observant. That is not emotional distance. That is emotional regulation. Regulation is power. This year is not about proving yourself. It is about positioning yourself. Proof comes later. Position comes first. Heaven always positions before it promotes. If you feel unseen right now, do not panic. Unseen seasons are where foundations are laid. Visibility without foundation collapses. Heaven is protecting you from premature exposure. You didn't enter this year by accident because this year is not random. It is strategic. It is deliberate. It is targeted. And you are exactly where you are supposed to be, even if you don't yet know why. Remain steady. Remain disciplined. Remain obedient. Chosen ones, now listen with absolute seriousness, because what I'm about to say will determine whether this year accelerates you or quietly drains you. There are things you must not do in this season, not because they are sinful, not because they are dramatic, but because they are misaligned. Misalignment at this level does not shout, it whispers, it feels reasonable, it feels safe, and that is why it is dangerous. The first mistake you must not make is returning to old versions of yourself for comfort. The temptation will be subtle. It will sound like, "At least this feels familiar," or "I know how to function here," or "I'll just do this until things become clearer." That voice is not wisdom, it is fear wearing practicality. Familiarity will try to seduce you because it does not require growth. But hear this clearly. Anything that requires you to shrink to participate is no longer assigned to you. Shrinking now will cost you more than discomfort ever did. You may feel pulled to explain yourself this year, to clarify your silence, to justify your boundaries, to soften your absence so others don't misunderstand you. Do not do this. Explanation drains authority before it has time to stabilize. Heaven is not asking you to defend your transformation. It is asking you to protect it. People who need explanations to respect your boundaries were never meant to walk with you into what's next. Another mistake you must avoid is emotional decision-making. Emotions are heightened right now, not to guide you, but to test you. Strong emotion does not equal divine urgency. Acting too quickly out of feeling can undo weeks of alignment. This year requires response, not reaction. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Every time you pause before acting, you reclaim power. There will be moments when impatience tries to disguise itself as courage. You will feel an urge to just move, just decide, just make something happen. That urge is understandable, but it is not always instructed. Moving without instruction creates detours that feel productive, but end in exhaustion. Heaven is teaching you to wait without stalling and move without forcing. That balance is rare, and it must be learned. You must also resist the urge to overconsume noise, advice, opinions, commentary, explanations. Too many voices will dilute your discernment. This year is not about gathering information. It is about sharpening perception. Not every insight deserves your attention. Not every perspective deserves your consideration. Silence is becoming one of your primary tools. Use it. Notice how certain conversations leave you feeling drained even when nothing negative was said. That is information. Energy exchange matters more now. You cannot afford to spend clarity on environments that do not replenish it. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. You are responsible for protecting your focus. Another critical warning: do not announce unfinished plans. What is still forming needs privacy to mature. Exposure invites interference. This is not secrecy born of fear. This is wisdom born of timing. Heaven reveals in stages for a reason. What you reveal too early becomes vulnerable before it becomes stable. You may feel misunderstood this year. That misunderstanding will tempt you to overcorrect. Don't. Misunderstanding is often the price of growth when others are still referencing an old version of you. Let time do the explaining. Time, when paired with consistency, never lies. You must also avoid the trap of self-criticism disguised as humility. Being aware of your flaws does not require self-punishment. Excessive self-judgment weakens clarity. This year demands honesty without condemnation, correction without shame, growth without self-rejection. Heaven is watching how you treat yourself during this transition. Do you rush yourself? Do you criticize yourself for not having everything figured out? Or do you allow development to unfold with discipline and patience? Authority requires self-trust. You cannot lead yourself forward while constantly doubting your footing. There will be moments where the old you tries to reassert control, old patterns of overthinking, old habits of people-pleasing, old reflexes of avoidance. Do not panic when this happens. Awareness means the pattern is already losing power. Simply do not feed it. Patterns starve when ignored. This year will also test your boundaries. People may push harder than before, not because they sense weakness, but because they sense change. Change threatens old dynamics. Some will try to pull you back into familiar roles. Resist without aggression. Firmness without explanation is enough. You may feel a narrowing of your life. Fewer invitations, fewer distractions, fewer options. This narrowing is not loss, it is focus. A narrow path moves faster than a scattered one. Heaven is not reducing your life, it is refining it. There is also a warning about nostalgia. Nostalgia will try to convince you that past versions of yourself were simpler, happier, more free. Nostalgia lies. You outgrew those versions because they could not carry what you are now being prepared to hold. You didn't lose innocence, you gained awareness. Do not mistake discomfort for misalignment. Growth is uncomfortable because it stretches capacity. Misalignment drains. Learn the difference. One strengthens you, the other exhausts you. This year is also removing your ability to pretend. Pretend enthusiasm, pretend patience, pretend agreement, pretend belonging. You will feel internal resistance when you try to perform. That resistance is integrity asserting itself. Integrity will not let you live divided anymore. Heaven is watching how you handle integrity conflicts. Do you override them for convenience, or do you honor them even when it costs you? The cost now determines the scale later. You didn't enter this year by accident, because this year requires discipline without applause. There will be seasons of quiet obedience with no visible reward. Those seasons are not wasted, they are compounding power invisibly. Do not quit this process because it feels slow. Slowness here is deceptive. While it feels gradual internally, alignment is accelerating externally. By the time results appear, the groundwork will already be complete. Remain restrained, remain observant, remain aligned. Chosen ones, now the focus changes. Heaven is no longer preparing you, heaven is positioning you. What has been building internally is about to begin expressing externally, and this is why obedience from this point forward becomes critical. Once movement begins, it accelerates quickly. You may already feel it. A subtle anticipation beneath the seriousness. A quiet expectation without excitement. That is not imagination. That is momentum forming. Momentum does not shout. It hums, it gathers, it pulls things toward you before you reach for them. This year will not unfold slowly for you. It will unfold precisely. Things that once took years to resolve will compress into months. Delays that felt permanent will dissolve suddenly. People will appear at the exact moment you need them. Doors will open without effort, but only if you stay aligned. Heaven is watching because what is about to be released requires restraint as much as courage. Blessings without discipline become burdens. Influence without structure collapses. You are being trusted with something that cannot be handled emotionally. It must be handled deliberately. You will notice your environment responding differently to you. Authority will meet you before effort. Respect will appear without demand. Resistance will dissolve without confrontation. This is not dominance. This is alignment producing gravity. Do not rush to interpret every change. Let patterns reveal themselves. This year rewards observation. Those who rush will misstep. Those who remain steady will advance quickly. There will be moments where the speed surprises you, where you realize something resolved without struggle. Do not question it. That is the reward of alignment. When heaven clears a path, movement feels effortless. This is also why distraction will attempt one final surge. Distraction always tries to interrupt momentum at the moment of release. Protect your focus. Protect your peace. Protect your timing. Not everyone deserves access to what heaven is unfolding through you. You did not enter this year by accident because this year was waiting for this version of you. The one who can stay quiet under pressure, decisive without panic, disciplined without applause. What comes next will not be chaotic. It will be undeniable. Stay aligned, stay restrained, stay ready. This year is already moving, and now you know why. Chosen ones, before this chapter closes, you must understand the gravity of what has already happened. This was not just a message you listened to, this was a crossing. Something unseen moved the moment you stayed when others would have left. Heaven does not interrupt casually. Heaven intervenes only when timing is critical and positioning must be exact. The stillness you feel now is not the absence of emotion. It is the presence of alignment settling into place. From this moment forward, your life will no longer tolerate half decisions. The grace you once had to delay, to drift, to revisit old cycles has thinned, not because heaven is impatient, but because you are no longer built for indecision. The ground beneath you has changed. What once felt neutral will now feel heavy. What once felt exciting will now feel hollow. This is not loss. This is filtration completing its work. Do not be surprised if in the coming days clarity arrives without explanation. You will wake up knowing what to do without rehearsing it. You will sense what to walk away from without debate. You will feel peace, not because everything is resolved, but because everything is aligned. That peace is not fragile, it is firm. It will not shake when circumstances fluctuate, because it is rooted deeper than circumstances ever reach. Heaven is watching how you carry yourself after this moment, not your words, your posture. Do you move quietly with confidence, or loudly seeking reassurance? Do you protect what is forming, or expose it prematurely? Do you honor restraint, or chase relief? These choices will define the speed and scale of what unfolds next. There will be moments soon when things resolve faster than you expect. Conversations will end cleanly. Doors will open without effort. Resistance will dissolve without confrontation. Do not question it. That is not luck. That is alignment producing momentum. When alignment is true, movement feels natural. When alignment is forced, movement feels exhausting. Pay attention to the difference. There will also be moments when something you expected to happen does not. Do not panic. Not everything that pauses is denied. Some things are being repositioned to meet you at a higher level. Trust the silence. Silence at this stage is not emptiness. It is containment. Heaven is protecting what is about to be revealed. You may notice that your voice carries differently now, fewer words, more weight. You no longer need to persuade. You no longer need to defend. Authority does not argue for its existence. It establishes itself through consistency. Let your steadiness speak where explanation would only dilute impact. Do not underestimate the importance of boundaries in the days ahead. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They allow what belongs to enter and keep what does not from draining you. Every boundary you honor now protects something you have not yet seen. Every boundary you ignore invites friction you do not need. This is also the season where your intuition must be trusted over urgency. Urgency will try to rush you into decisions that feel productive but misalign timing. Intuition will ask you to pause, observe, and move when instructed. Choose intuition. Timing is one of your greatest assets now. Misuse it, and you create detours. Honor it, and paths clear ahead of you. You may feel moments of solitude more sharply than before. Do not mistake solitude for abandonment. Solitude is often where precision is refined. When distractions fall away, instruction becomes clearer. Let solitude do its work without trying to fill it with noise. There will be people who do not recognize you in this season. They will reference an old version of you and feel confused by your restraint. Let them. Recognition always lags behind transformation. Those meant to walk with you will adjust. Those who cannot will fall away quietly. Do not force alignment where it no longer exists. Remember this. You are not responsible for managing other people's comfort with your growth. You are responsible for managing your obedience to what has been revealed. Obedience here does not require perfection. It requires responsiveness. When clarity comes, act. When restraint is needed, wait. When silence is instructed, protect it. Heaven is not asking you to be fearless, it is asking you to be faithful. Faithfulness at this level looks like consistency without applause. It looks like discipline when no one is watching. It looks like choosing alignment even when comfort is available elsewhere. As this message ends, do not rush to fill the space it leaves. Let the weight remain for a moment. Let the seriousness settle. This seriousness is not heaviness. It is responsibility being acknowledged. You are being trusted with something that requires maturity to carry. In the days ahead, small decisions will matter more than grand declarations. Small boundaries will prevent large losses. Small acts of discipline will unlock disproportionate favor. This is how divine acceleration works. It does not announce itself. It responds to alignment. You did not enter this new year by accident. You entered it because you were preserved long enough to be positioned. Everything you endured before now was preparation for this alignment. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was late. From this point on, walk carefully, not in fear, but in focus. Walk quietly, not in hiding, but in confidence. Walk ready, not anxious, but aligned. Heaven is not finished watching. Heaven is finished preparing. What comes next will move quickly, and when it does, you will be ready.